My name's Sabrina Ramonov, and this is part 6 of my series Build SaaS with AI, where I go from idea to MVP with AI-driven coding, and my tools of choice are Cursor AI, the AI-powered IDE, and Claude 3.5 Sonnet under the hood. And in this post, we'll work on adding image generation, since we may want to post this content with an AI-generated image on social media, as well as UX and layout improvements. So the first thing we're going to do, as usual, is branch out. So I'm just going to call this feature part 6 and then check it out and check out feature part 6. We're going to actually test a new feature in Cursor called Composer, which I meant to test last video, but I didn't realize you have to open it with a separate command. On Mac, it's Command I, and you see it down here. Click this button, open control panel, and it'll be the larger version of Composer. It's a new beta feature that allows us to create and edit multiple files simultaneously. So this is really great if you're adding a new feature that's going to create a bunch of new files instead of having to create those files manually. I was doing in previous videos. Composer is supposed to create those files automatically for me. Okay. And then here's the prompt. So as usual, it looks long, but this whole first part is just boilerplate telling the AI a little bit about our project and best practices we want to follow. The last part is telling AI to ask us clarifying questions until it's confident. And then this part is the actual spec. So the first task is to add a checkbox to the right of the prompt selector dropdown. Remember in the last video where we worked on prompts management, users can now select a prompt for each social media platform that they want to use. And then if the user checks this checkbox, then the app will generate an AI image. So only show this checkbox after the user selects a platform. So if I select Facebook and I want to generate an image for the post, then I also check this checkbox. And then for now, we're just going to use OpenAI DALL-E to generate an image for each selected platform. I don't really love it for image generation, but since we already have OpenAI set up with the API key here, that's kind of the easiest to get started. Make sure everything works before we switch out the model and introduce a different API. So if a user selects Facebook and clicks generate content, and they also checked off that they want an image, then their final output should be an AI-generated text content repurposed using the prompt, and also an AI-generated image relevant to the text. And then if a user selects multiple platforms, generate a separate image for each platform with dimensions optimized for each platform. And then for the image generation prompt, we just want to use the first 300 characters. There's a shorter limit to what you can feed in as the prompt, so that's why we put that there. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this, and we're going to use the Composer feature. I'm going to copy paste this and then click enter. Okay, now let's answer the questions added for each platform individually. Up to you to store the checkbox state, follow best practices. Yes, we already use OpenAI to generate the repurposed text. Use optimal dimensions for each platform. Should the images be, I would say also based on best practices, whatever that means. Should the images be generated at the same time or a separate step after text generation? Let's just say for now at the same time. How should we handle errors if image generation fails? Display error to user. Actually, maybe let's not do this at the same time. Let's actually do this separate step after text generation. I'm just thinking about my own workflow, and if I'm repurposing content into a tweet, then I might want the image relevant to that specific tweet, which could be really different based on the prompt I'm using. Error to user, text, even if image generation fails. Oh, should we add any options for users to regenerate or customize the image? Yeah, we do want the option to regenerate. Yes, regenerates option. Okay. Performance, given that we implement any loading indicators, yes, indicators. Okay, and it's also include lots of logging to help troubleshoot issues. Okay, here's the step-by-step plan. And then here's Composer at work. So it's creating the updated version of the content generator file here. You can see the entire file here. Then it's creating a new image generator component, which is a new file. So that's already different from our previous workflow where Cursor AI would suggest creating a new file and then we'd have to actually go manually create it. Here, the file is actually created for us. And then it also updated the generated content component and then created a separate API route for image generation. These changes implement all the requested features. And to complete the implementation, ensure the OpenAI key, create a logger TS file to implement the log error and blah, blah, blah. Update your next to allow image URLs. Okay. And so what's cool here I want to point out with Composer is you can actually save all of the file changes, including the new files that were created, without actually accepting. So what that means is we can click Save All, test the changes, then we click Accept. If we don't get, then we reject the changes and try again. So here I just clicked Save All. I haven't clicked Accept or Reject. And I'm just going to minimize it and then run the app, see what we have. Now we may need it to do number 2 and number 3, but let's just test what we have so far. Okay, so it threw an error in utils logger, which is what it did say to complete the implementation. So let's go ahead and complete the implementation by finishing steps 2 and 3. Okay, so now it created a logger.ts file. And again, we didn't have to create this file manually. That's what we were doing in all previous 5 videos. And then it updated a bunch of files. So now it's implemented the logger, ensured that next config.js allows OpenAI image URLs. And again, we're going to click Save All instead of Accept All. So we can try it out without accepting all the changes yet. Well, let's do this. You can see here the different prompts that we have, remember from the last video. And then I'm just going to go ahead and copy one of my blog posts, paste it here, select Facebook. Oh, see, and now it has a generate image checkbox, which is great. Let's open the console log in case there's any errors. Okay, and then let's select bullet points and also generate image. It's nice here at the additional logging info image generation toggled for Facebook. And let's go ahead and click generate content. So here we see the generated text and we can see it's bullet points, which is great. But now we're running into an issue with the image generation, which is not a huge surprise. So error generating image, no image URL return. So let's go back to cursor, shrink this. And there's a lot of information here. So let's start from here, post request. So API error, bad request, because this dimension is not one of the allowed dimensions. Okay, I see this error in server logs. Okay, submit. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so now it's updating the route to support the sizes that DALL-E API accepts. And again, I'm going to click Save All without actually accepting the changes. So I can always go back and reject all the changes. Let's try that again. Same exact thing. Bullet points, generate image, generate content. Okay, here's the generated text content, and we can see there's a loading spinner, which I think is supposed to indicate that the image generation is still loading. And there we go. There's the generated image for Facebook. And so what was this post about? It was about growing quickly on TikTok from 100 to 100,000 followers. And obviously, image gen has a lot of issues with text. That's a well-known problem, and I'm super excited about tools coming out and model updates that improve the problem, because once you can generate text much better, image gen for infographics, ad creatives, that kind of thing is going to be really powerful. But this is actually a pretty cool image. It directionally conveys what the post is about, which is growing from literally almost 0 to 100,000 followers in 2 months. So it's pretty cool. So we just added image generation thanks to Composer. I don't see any other errors or anything in the logs. And so now I'm going to accept all these changes. Okay, that was great. Okay. And again, just emphasizing with Composer, not only did it create the files automatically for me, it automatically applied all of the edits in all of the files. So instead of sitting there and clicking apply all, accept, apply, accept for each file, it just does it all. And it can save all of the changes at once. The flip side is you need to be careful. And so that's why I'm saving all so I can test it. And then I'm not accepting it until I'm happy with the changes. But let's go ahead and commit this, since we're pretty happy with what we have so far. You can see the summary of the files that were created and updated here when you do git status. And let's say, I should probably test that it worked for 2 social media platforms. Okay, so that's our latest commit. And let's test real quick that this works for 2 social media platforms. So let's run this again so we can test it for multiple images. Okay, and then, select Facebook. Let's do that same prompt, bullet points. Let's do Twitter as well. Let's just do one-liner and generate content. Let's look at the logs, see what's going on. And also the server logs have a ton more information as well. That's the inputs. And then here, post request to generate content. And now it's generating image for Facebook with the following prompt, ... Now it's generating image for Twitter. And so that's why I love adding logging, right? Because you can see exactly what's happening. What is the app trying to do? So now if we go back to our app, we see the text content generated for each one. And now the image content generated. So, I mean, this is funny. This actually would have been cool too, except for the text. So text is a very well-known issue in image generation today, but still, no, pretty good. So literally, I don't know how long it's been, 5-10 minutes, we added, multi-platform image generation in our app. So that was awesome. So what I want to do is update the UX a little bit, just so it's a little bit cleaner to use. In my ideal workflow, I would normally be using something like this on a desktop. So I kind of want to see the original content and the platforms on the left, and then the generated content on the right. To do it that way when I'm repurposing content, so that I can always read and reference the original, make sure I've captured the key points without distorting any information, and then double check, on the right hand side that all the posts conform to the standards I want and are representing the information accurately. That's actually really important to me as an education creator. Okay, so now what I want to do is test this one more time with all three. And then what I'm going to do is basically take a screenshot and move everything around the way I want it to be laid out. Okay, so it's generated now the text content, and now we're just waiting for the image generation. And one future improvement for sure is just having a placeholder image for each post, and then having the loading indicator within each image so that it's super clear which platforms we're generating images for and what we're waiting for. But again, that's kind of a minor improvement we can do later. Okay, now here's a generated image for each one. Okay. Wow, it's really colorful. This is actually pretty good, except for the text here in the spine, but this is actually a pretty cool image. That's cool too. Tiki took. Okay, so what we want to do is zoom out. So I call this my super lazy UX. So zoom out until you see everything, and then here, okay. Then that screenshot's gonna save and then open it up. And then what we're gonna do is basically move stuff around. So what I kind of want to do is just move this around over here. Twitter, my UI UX skills leave much to be desired. Okay. And then over here, all this white space here. So I'm actually gonna move this over here. Yeah. Then I'm gonna take a screenshot of the relevant portion. This is just right there here, basically. So that's my hacky UX redesign. So what we're going to do is create a new chat in Composer. I'm going to drop the screenshot here. Okay, perfect, cool. And then I'm going to copy paste this. And the spec is basically here. So I want you to update the create screen as shown. I don't want to say the word layout. The attached image. Here is a summary of the changes. So basically you want to change it to a two-column layout where the left is the content generator and the right column displays the generated component, plays a list of generated content showing the generated text and image. The left column should be kind of fixed in position while the user scrolls the right column. Within the generated content component, the generated text and generated image should be next to each other in the same row. We want to kind of shrink the image, but we probably don't want to specify the exact size since it's different per platform. Display the AI generated image as smaller, so it fits in the same row as the generated text, and preserve the generated image's original aspect ratio. Okay, and then here let's tag the files that are relevant. Let's see if that works. Okay, so we have content generator, generated components, creates. I don't think we're just really trying to update the layout. So I think that's all the context we need. Let's try this. I don't see any reason to ever use the default AI chat now that they have this composer functionality, but we'll see. So should the content generator in the left column remain scrollable within its fixed position? Yeah, I'm kind of worried about that term fixed. Remain scrollable. Show all generated content. Number 3. I didn't know there was expand collapse functionality. Or remove it since we're now displaying the content. Yeah, I'd say remove it. Are there any specific dimensions? Users should be able to see the generated images, but not too large. Should we add any new functionality such as a way to hide show the left column on mobile devices. Let's make it mobile responsive with a reasonable breakpoint or something. Okay, so Composer is updating a bunch of stuff, implementing a 2-column layout, blah, blah, blah. The left column remains scrollable. I'm kind of worried about this saying the word fixed, but let's save all and then see. Oh, okay, interesting. So it has a whole other panel there. And let's do, I don't love how it changed the checkbox over here instead of, I think before it was to the right of the drop-down selector. Let's generate an image for all of them. Okay, then click generate content. So one thing I want to improve too is I can see the generated text here in the server log, but it's not displaying it on the right-hand side until all 3 are done. And now it says the image generated successfully, but I don't actually see the image anywhere. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take a screenshot of this and ask Composer to fix it, please. Oops, well, this is what I see in the server logs, but I don't see the generated image next to each text. Also, update the select platforms. In the server logs, I see that the images were generated. Also update the select platforms and prompts section. The platform checkbox and generate image checkbox are aligned in a horizontal. Okay, let's click save all and then go back here. Okay, go back here. Okay, so I changed that. Let's just do 2 so it doesn't take as long. Okay. Main thing I want to see is that it's side by side. Another option might be to have separate tabs for each social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and then depending on what post you're editing, you can switch back and forth. So that can be another option, especially as we introduce more and more customization options and parameters for each of these social media platforms. I still don't see the image, so that's kind of a problem. I still don't see the generated images. I see in server logs. Let's say display each image. Maybe it's just dimension size. Okay, let's just update it so we're very explicit on the image size. Okay, and let's try with just one so we can see if it works. Generate content. I'll also open the network tab. Generate image here, you can see it's pending. And here in the network tab, we can see the generate image, the image URL, but then it says no image URL provided. Check the console log. So image. Okay, so let's be more specific. I see the valid URL in the but okay, save all. And so what I want to do is just test it for one platform and see that it works. Let's click generate content and then also open the network tab. Okay. Oh, okay, perfect. So this is the generate, just to show how to debug it. So in the network tab, I checked generate image. You can see the image URL here. And then finally, we can see the image. Okay, perfect. So now let's try it actually with multiple platforms and just double check the layout. That's what we want. Okay. Let's click generate contents. Okay, awesome. And now we can see the generated content for all 3 platforms. So the workflow here is copy paste your content. Let's say it's one of my long form newsletters, select the platforms you want to repurpose it for along with the prompts, and then figure out if you want to generate an image. And then here is the repurposed content along with an image for each one. And then you can regenerate one of these images. And what's kind of been surprising is we implemented the image generation feature without any bugs, but updating the UX and layout was a little bit trickier. It took a little bit longer than adding a new feature. But this also goes to show the importance of doing as much of that UX thinking up front, because then you'll have a clear set of things you already want to implement. Okay, here I was just testing out again, curious what other images it would generate. Just to recap what we covered in this video, we added image generation for each platform. It basically takes the text post for each platform and uses the beginning part of it as the prompt for image generation. And then we also updated the layout, which ironically took longer than implementing the image generation as a feature. We moved it to a left column, right column kind of layout. And of course, there are additional tweaks I'd probably make. I kind of wanted just the right column to be scrollable while the left column is fixed. I also probably want this left column to be a little narrower because I do want to spend the bulk of my time over here in the right column, the generated content. And we tested Cursor's new feature Composer, where it basically created and edited all the files for us instead of having to sit there, check which file we want to apply changes to, click apply, or having to create the file manually. And so I really like the user experience of Composer a lot better. You can save the proposed changes without actually applying them. So you can save them, test it out, reject all the changes if you want to start over, that kind of thing. And so it was really much more efficient. And what's really cool is our MVP is starting to shape up. So you just paste, the content over here on the left side that you want to repurpose, choose the platforms to repurpose to, choose the prompts you want to use, and whether you want to regenerate an image for each of these platforms. And then the next step will be probably publishing it. And for that, I'll just use a Zapier integration, so I don't have to actually build out the developer integrations for each social media platform yet. And also, people do tend to have a separate solution for queuing up social media posts. Eventually, I do want all of that in this platform, but I wouldn't call it core to the V1. And so kind of our hack and workaround will be when I click publish, call a Zapier webhook, which then handles which platform to publish it to. All right, thanks for watching part 6 of my Build SaaS with AI series. My name's Sabrina Ramonov. Hit subscribe, drop a comment below. I'm going to be wrapping up the series soon with only 2 or 3 more videos, so stay tuned.